Yo, what's the word? What's the word, man? Stuff for the Cloud Chaser TV, man. We back up in this thing again, you dig? Hey, man, we got a lot going on tonight. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to this whole Young Thug trial, you feel me? And star witness, Lil Woody, star witness, because when they talk about murders that's inside this case, they will reference him. You know what I'm saying? That's the shit that's going on. But we're gonna pay attention to it and see what's up. Let's get it.
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know what. No, I guess I don't.
A man who goes by the nickname Lil Woody might be one of the most entertaining witnesses we've seen so far in the RICO trial against rapper Young Thug out in Atlanta. And that's saying something. We have some of the top moments from Kenneth Copeland's testimony over the last few days. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey everybody, this is another Law and Crime legal alert. Have you experienced severe gastroparesis or other side effects after taking Ozempic or another GLP-1 weight loss medication? Election alone. Well now, one of the witnesses that we had been anticipating and that we were looking forward to hearing from was Kenneth Copeland. He had been mentioned many times in prior testimony and was seen speaking with police in an interrogation tape that leaked online. He was supposed to be a star witness for the prosecution because he had previously told investigators that Williams was connected to criminal activity. But if prosecutors thought they were going to have pretty solid evidence in the form of Copeland's testimony, or it was going to be smooth sailing, they were disappointed. Why do I say that? Well, Copeland, who also goes by the nickname Woody or Lil Woody, was very uncooperative from the beginning. Before he was even called to the stand on Friday, June 7th, his attorney announced to the court that he didn't want to be there and he didn't want to testify.
So, Your Honor, Mr. Copeland is here. I can state as his attorney that he intends to exercise his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. He does not wish to testify in this trial. And I would ask, there is no other, he's not on bond, he's not on probation, there's nothing like that. I would ask that he be allowed to leave this courtroom without being compelled to testify.
Okay, now the prosecution had given Copeland what's called use immunity. And that means that whatever he would say on the stand during this trial couldn't be used against him legally. Well, at least by the state. It seems there's some concern maybe on Copeland's part about whether he could end up with federal charges. But anyway, putting that to the side, when you're granted use immunity and the court compels you to testify, you really can't plead the Fifth anymore because your right against self-incrimination is essentially protected.
What's your pleasure?
Say what?
I said, what's your pleasure, sir? Do you wish to give testimony? I know you don't want to give testimony in this case, but you've been given immunity in this particular circumstance, use immunity. So are you going to testify?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mr. Copeland, good afternoon. Do you want to be here?
Ma'am,
Do you want to be here?
I'm here.
Okay. Well, are you going to let me ask you some questions?
Okay.
How old are you?
Grown.
Okay, what does grown mean?
He grown.
I'm an adult.
Okay. And when you say you're an adult, what number in years are you?
I plead the Fifth.
Mr. Copeland, given the fact that you have invoked your Fifth Amendment privilege, but the state has already given you immunity under 24-5-507, this court holds you in willful contempt, and we'll see you on Monday. And we'll see if we can get some more testimony at that point in time. Take him into custody.
Yep, Copeland was held in contempt of court and he was taken to the Fulton County Jail for the weekend. He was back on that Monday, and this time he at least answered questions, but getting the answers that the prosecution wanted was a little more difficult. I mean, even on basic questions like how old are you or where did you go to school proved to be complicated.
And when you were younger, did you go to school?
Yes.
Where did you attend school?
I don't know. I went to a lot of different schools.
Okay, what are all the schools you went to?
I don't recall all of them.
Or just tell me some of them.
I only know one, Slater,
Slater? Is that elementary school or middle school?
elementary.
Why you don't remember what middle school you went to? Did you go to middle school?
I think I did.
How long did you go to, did you finish middle school?
Relevance.
Overruled.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Did you go to high school at all?
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, let me give you some context here. According to the prosecution back in 2015, several of the YSL defendants were involved in the murder of Donovan Thomas, also known as Big Nut, an alleged rival gang member. Now, Shannon Stillwell and Diamante Kendrick, two of Williams' co-defendants in this trial, they have been charged in connection with the shooting, and Williams himself is accused of renting the car that was used in that alleged murder. The prosecution, they needed Copeland to confirm that he knew these men, but even that was like pulling teeth.
Can you take a moment and look at those pictures?
He on that.
Please look at those pictures.
Do I have to look at them?
Yes. I'm going to start first with Stacy Exhibit 350 Yankee. Tell me if you recognize individual in Stacy Exhibit 350 Yankee.
I recognize myself.
Okay. Do you recognize anybody else in 350 Yankee?
Myself.
Do you recognize anyone else in 350 Yankee?
Their face is covered up.
Okay. Do you see someone's face who's not covered up in 350 Yankee?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you recognize who that person is?
I can hardly tell.
Okay. Is that Shannon Jackson? Your Honor, at this point in time, I'm turning to impeachment. Do you know someone by the name of Demekion Garlington?
Street name,
Little D.
for sure.
How do you know Little D?
I didn't
Nigga
birth.
said street name.
I'm sorry, say that again.
He
I almost
rehearsed
birthed
that
him.
shit.
You almost birthed him?
Yeah.
But
Tell the jury, what do you mean by that?
they thought he was gonna go
I
to
mean, he my son.
Okay. And let me ask you this. Do you know another person who's referenced as Little D?
What you mean?
Do you know someone who's called Little D from Cleveland?
Oh, I heard of him.
You heard of him. Okay, we'll talk about him in a moment.
You said what now?
Tell me who you recognize in 380 Yankee.
Oh, me and Coco,
Who's Coco?
the ugly boy right here.
Okay.
And the prosecution also needed to connect Copeland with Williams himself. So they tried to get Copeland to give evidence of their friendship, but Copeland appeared hesitant.
My question is, when he was not in the studio and you hung out with him, where would you hang out with him at?
They're talking about Young Thug.
We used to do fun stuff, like go to like bowling alleys and stuff like that. He went to the kids' football game, I remember. I've been to the club with them. I've been on shows, I meant, correct that.
You said on shows?
Yeah, like when I watch him perform.
All right.
Now, Mr. Copeland and his testimony, or lack thereof, it had a bit of a ripple effect. Why do I say that? I say that because according to Williams' lead defense attorney, Brian Steele,
Talk your shit,
he
gang.
was told that the judge, the prosecution team, Copeland, and a stand-in attorney for Copeland were all part of an ex parte meeting, which is when they meet secretly in the judge's chambers, one-on-one with the judge. The defense is not present. And the defense argued that this was highly improper to have a private meeting with a sworn witness when they had no idea this was going on, especially when some of what Copeland allegedly said, namely that he would confess to being responsible for the murder of Thomas, or that the judge and prosecutor allegedly pressured him in that meeting to testify or face jail time. The defense said that that information
I need you to find a murderer.
There's usually only a handful of reasons for murder. Revenge, money, love gone wrong.
or why in Jessica Fletcher he should have been privy to. Now, Judge Earl Glanville only wanted to know one thing from Brian Steele. How did you find out about this? How did you find out about this meeting? Steele wouldn't give up his information. He wouldn't give up his source. He cited privilege, that doing so would violate the Georgia bar rules. And so an angry Judge Glanville held him in contempt of court. He originally was supposed to report to jail this weekend to begin a 20-day stint over the next 10 weekends, but he was granted a reprieve by the Georgia Supreme Court, and he won't have to go, at least for now. We actually did a whole sidebar episode on this with some really great insight from Ben Shue, the lawyer for Johnny Depp during his defamation case. I encourage everybody to check that out if you want to learn a little bit more about this issue. But back to Kenneth Copeland. Caleb Bumpus was the stand-in counsel for Copeland's regular attorney who had gone out of town. And the allegation has surfaced, and based on Judge Glanville's statements in court, he seems to suggest that she may have been the one who told Brian Steele about this ex parte meeting. Now, she and Copeland will have to appear at a show cause hearing in a couple of weeks to determine if they should be held in contempt of court. Well, after all of this chaos surrounding the ex parte meeting, Copeland decided he didn't want Miss Bumpus to represent him anymore.
Sir, Mr. Copeland, is it your desire to release your counsel at this point in time?
His lawyer.
She fired.
She's fired? Okay.
But according to Miss Bumpus, she had already been fired before Copeland even testified. As you can see, this trial has been one surprise after the next. So now let's go back into Copeland's actual testimony. Assistant District Attorney Simone Hilton asked him to elaborate on the information that he had given to investigators during that interrogation in 2021 that I had mentioned. At the time, Copeland, a convicted felon, had been found with a gun during a traffic stop, and he was facing a 10-year sentence, but instead told the detectives about past crimes and crimes that he said were going to happen. The video, as I mentioned, was leaked online, and in it, Copeland also talks about Jeffrey Lamar Williams and how he would be willing to help get a confession from him. But a frustrated Copeland told Hilton he just told the investigators what they wanted to hear.
Did you tell myself and my colleagues, Ms. Love and others, about Little D and Shannon being in your vehicle the night of the murder?
Huh?
Yesterday, did you tell myself, Ms. Love, and a few of my other colleagues that Little D and Shannon were in the car with you the night of the murder of Donna Thomas?
I told you and them that what I told investigators in June, when Nut got killed, something different, because I was trying to finesse my way out of a situation. So I said, I picked up D and Shannon. D never told me nothing. I made it up to clear myself up. And that's it.
Okay. And was that yesterday that you said that?
That's all he had to say.
Did you tell us that yesterday, what you just said?
You asked me to be truthful. And I didn't, and I told you what I told the investigator back then wasn't me being truthful. So I'm telling you something that I didn't tell them because I ain't trying to go back to jail.
I got it. But actually was yesterday, the first time you said this part, and now what you're saying today is what is truthful. What you're saying right now, what you're trying to tell the jury right now is what you are now saying is truthful.
What I'm trying to tell you is our conversation was about something that I said in the past.
I understand. I'm asking you.
Ask that Mr. Copeland allowed to finish his.
Okay, all right.
I'll tell you what's up.
Mr. Copeland, you need to finish your answers?
No, I need a break, Your Honor.
Say again?
I need a break.
If you're a Godfather Part 2 fan, by the way, it's very Frank Pantangeli.
Right now,
Michael Corleone did this.
a break
Michael
right now.
Corleone did that. Sure, why not? Anybody, by the way, if you're a fan of the movie, honestly, that's not a bad impression. I encourage everybody to tell me otherwise. But anyway, so Copeland, let's go back to him. He says he doesn't remember much of what happened in that interrogation.
Do you recall what Thug said in 2015 to Kel?
Yes.
Yes, you remember what Thug said?
I don't recall what was said. I don't remember what was said.
Okay.
I don't remember me talking to the investigators about it.
All right. Do you remember telling Detective Gaither that when Kel got on the phone, that Thug said the beef ain't over with until you pay for my window? You shot my window.
Yes.
Yes, you remember telling Detective Gaither that?
I don't remember what I done told the police.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Are you just saying yes now to speed up your questioning?
Most definitely.
Okay. Are you saying yes, that's what you told Detective Gaither?
I know I ain't complete school, but I think I'm speaking proper English. I told you, I don't recall nothing I said to no police. You keep sitting right here asking me the same